if you feel like your self-worth has really taken a hit, just like mine did, it's so important for you to do this. Do it regularly, do it every day, and watch how you think of yourself changes. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Psych Diaries podcast, where we talk all things psychology, career, and personal growth. I am your host, Maya, and I'm so glad you're here today. How are we doing? How's life treating you? I'm guessing not great because you've clicked on this episode. So let's talk about it. Rejection. We've all been there. We've all experienced it before. And if you're an aspiring psychologist and you've applied to assistant psychologists' posts, you probably have experienced a lot of rejection. If you're anything like me, I feel you, I hear you, I see your pain. It is a lot. It's so competitive, I know. So today I do want to talk about how rejection feels and how difficult it can be, especially in the field of psychology, in this career path. And then I want to focus most of this episode on what we can do about it. So we're going to talk about what is in our control and what's not in our control, and then some practical tools that we can use to actually be able to handle rejection a lot better. For me, I experienced this pretty hard a couple months ago. It really hit me, and it was really difficult. I graduated from uni, and still months in, I was applying and not getting anything. And it was really difficult. So I can speak from experience on how that felt. And now I'm in a very different place. I still get rejected regularly, but this time my mindset is very different. I'm nowhere near as affected by rejections as I was a couple months ago. I'm in a very different headspace, even though my circumstances are kind of the same. Well, not the same. I have changed a couple things, but in terms of getting onto assistant psychologist roles, I'm still in that rat race, we could call that. Also, I wanted to make this episode because when I was feeling so shit about myself, when I was constantly getting rejected, it felt very isolating. I felt so alone, and I would just wish I had something like this to kind of get me through it, because it feels like you're the only one that's not getting anywhere. So let's talk about it. One of the reasons why rejection is so hard is because of comparison. We compare ourselves to others, to our peers. If you're anything like me, you're constantly scrolling on LinkedIn and seeing what everyone else is up to, and everyone's successes and achievements and highlights, and we compare that kind of highlight reel to our own life and our own reality. And I mean, we all know that social media isn't a true representation of people's lives, and we all know that logically, but emotionally, I feel like we need to remind ourselves of that, because it's so easy to just feel shit from just seeing how well everyone else is doing. But actually, just because other people are doing well doesn't take away anything from you. There are so many opportunities out there in the world, and the right one will come along for you. So it's important to still celebrate people's successes and cheer them on, because one day that will be you. And you want people around you to also cheer you on and support you and not be bitter towards you. I feel like it's so important to give out the energy that you yourself want to receive. Another thing about comparison is, I feel like for a lot of people that have grown up with academic validation as their kind of currency, it's so difficult to then enter the working world and not have any of that. And it feels like so much of your success or validation is from the outside world, and it's kind of out of your control. I feel like in school you can work really hard and get good grades, but it's not the same in the working world. You can work really hard on loads and loads of applications and still not get anywhere. still get rejected all the time. But I think if that is a big thing for you, where you've been used to that academic validation, that is external validation that you're relying on. And that's something that we need to turn around, because we don't want to be relying on external validation for the rest of our lives. So we have to turn that around and make it internal. How do I feel valued in myself? What makes me feel good and feel like I've achieved something just for myself? Another thing that's really hard about getting rejected within the field of psychology, or just getting rejected in general, is how much it can affect your self-esteem. And I guess that's kind of related to the external validation thing. But yeah, if you always kind of tied your worth to your work, whether that's academic or now, in the working world, it can be really, really difficult to then still feel worthy and valuable when you have nothing to base that off of apart from yourself. And then I feel like you end up feeling worse and worse about yourself, because you're getting more and more almost proof that you're not good enough, if that's kind of the narrative that you then take on, which I definitely did a couple months ago. With every rejection, I would think, oh my God, again, I'm not good enough. There must be something wrong with me. Where am I going wrong? And eventually I started to feel this strong sense of hopelessness, of just kind of feeling like I'm not gonna get there. I wasn't giving up, because I was still like, okay, this is just, something that I need to get through. Like, I know I will be fine eventually. But a part of me felt just like, oh, what is the point? And just like, yeah, just this strong sense of feeling hopeless and almost like empty, and losing faith, losing belief in myself. And then also it felt like really unfair, because you feel like you're putting in so much effort, so much hard work into getting those applications to be as good as you possibly can. You reflect a lot, and then it's like, no, not good enough, but that really made me think about where I put my worth and where I put my value about myself. And I started to think about, okay, well, if I've put in so much hard work, so much effort, if I'm not going to get the reward from them, I'm going to give myself the reward. I need to give myself credit for putting in that hard work and just getting those applications done as well as I can. And I started kind of framing it differently, where if I got 2 applications done a day, or maybe even just 1 application, just so I could get it done properly and do it well, if I did 1 application a day, that would be an achievement for me. And if I did that for a month straight, that would be a massive achievement, and I would reward myself by the end of it, because I'm putting in the effort for me, for my future self. So I started to kind of shift my perspective around it. And another thing I started to do, or another thing I started to notice, was that there were so many other factors in my life that were other like stressors in my life that were making this feeling of feeling rejected so much more exacerbated, so much bigger than it would have been had everything else in my life been going well. Like, for example, just adjusting to post-uni life, accepting that that kind of chapter of my life was over. And even though part of me was, very excited about the future and I could kind of take my life in any direction now, it was also really scary. Like, I was like, I don't know what I want. I don't know where to go. And you kind of lose so much structure when you go from university life to then adult working life in a blink of an eye, and like not seeing your friends anymore, and then having to make money now because you're not getting a student loan. Like, I got a maintenance loan throughout uni, and now it's like okay, well, I need to find a job ASAP if I'm gonna be able to sustain myself. So that financial strain, that pressure and fear of uncertainty, and just adjustment to a different way of life. Also relationships, I couldn't see my uni friends anymore anywhere near as much. I had a romantic relationship breakdown at the time. So all these other factors, just being aware that all these other factors are contributing to how you're feeling right now can be useful, because then you're not putting so much pressure on the rejections from the applications or from whatever it is, because it's not just that. And then you can actually shift your perspective to, okay, what can I do that's not to do with getting rejected from applications, but kind of other factors in my life that might make me feel a little bit calmer, or just better about myself, or just more satisfied with my life. Okay, so now that we've covered how difficult rejection is and where that could be coming from, and how it's important to look at other factors in your life, now let's hone in on what is in our control and what isn't in our control. Okay, let's think about what is in our control. So let's look at our application. Is the application that we're sending out the best it could be? So I want you to go and look at YouTube videos, podcasts. I will be releasing episodes about applications soon, I promise. So you can look at that if those are already out by the time you're listening to this. Just make sure that you get as much advice as possible on your application, and make sure you're doing the things that they're asking you to do. Like, for example, in some job descriptions, they will say, make sure you write these 3 sentences at the top of your application. So make sure you're doing that. And yeah, think about what you can tweak, what you can improve in your application to make sure that it is a good reflection of you and you sound confident in it and you're really selling yourself in it. Now, okay, aside from the application, what else is in your control? Do you have any feedback from any of your rejections? What can you learn from that? If you've had some interviews, you might have some feedback that you can use to improve how you perform in your applications and in your interviews. It's so important to apply that feedback. For example, in my last interview, they told me that I did really well, but for some questions, when I paused and thought about my answer and structured it in my head before answering, I did a lot better on those questions, on those answers. So that's something that I need to bear in mind next time. So that's number 2. And then we can also look at our other stressors outside of these rejections. What else is making us feel like we're not satisfied with where we're at now? And only look at things that you can actually control, things that you can change right now or in the next few days or weeks. So if it's, I don't know, friendships, for example, can you schedule a call with a friend, or can you join a new club where you meet new people? If you're worried about your financial situation, can you find another way to earn money in the meantime? For me, it came to a point where I was like, okay, I need to just take any job, even if it's temporary or one that I don't really want to do, just so I can feel more stable financially, and that will help me feel calmer, and I can actually apply myself to more of these applications in the future without feeling that stress. If it's something like you feel shit when you scroll on social media because you're comparing yourself to others, can you implement more of a detox in terms of social media in your life? I think the more you adjust these things in your life to lessen the stress that you're currently in, the easier it will be to handle those rejections. Okay, now let's talk about the things that aren't in our control. We need to let them go. Once you have done everything you can, you've done the best application that you can, you've done the interview as best as you could have done in the moment, or even if you didn't, but it's done now, the only thing you can do is learn from it in the future and just let it be. Let it go, because now it's out of your hands. It's in the hands of the panel, the people shortlisting for the job, and it's a numbers game at the end of the day. So you just need to get your reps in. We need to not take it personally when we get rejected from all these jobs, because there's so many people out there that are going for these same jobs. And one thing that helped me to let go of the things that are outside of my control was this mindset shift to rejection is redirection. If we kind of compare to dating, for example, say you were really interested in someone, you really wanted to get to know them, you were shooting your shot, and they reject you. That obviously doesn't feel nice. But if you think about it, that person didn't want you the same way that you wanted them, which basically means that they're not for you. They're not the best person, the best partner for you. Like, you want to find the person that wants you in the same way, and it's mutual, and you feel valued and loved in that relationship, right? And you can think about it in the same way with your career, with jobs. If they think that you're not the best fit for them, then it wasn't meant for you. There's something better out there that will give you that kind of same energy. Like, you want to be grateful for that rejection, because then you can redirect your energy to different people or different jobs, different things that will make you happy, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that it will never be for you. It just might mean it's not for you right now. Maybe there's more experiences that you need, or like with a partner, you might not be aligned on your values or your capacity at the moment, but maybe in the future you would be at a different time in your life. So it could be the same thing with your career. And that's how we want to see it. We want to see it as, okay, I'm grateful that I'm getting this rejection now, because for right now, this isn't what I'm meant to be doing. I think it's so hard in the moment to think in that way of like, oh, I'm grateful for the rejections. Like, in the moment, it's like, no, this freaking sucks, and I'm not grateful for getting another rejection. And I do get that. But if you think about something that hasn't worked out for you in the past, not psychology related, just anything, you really wanted that one thing and you didn't get it, how did you move on from that? What happened next? Was it something better that came to you? Because more often than not, something better than what we had envisioned is just around the corner, and you don't know until you look back on it, in hindsight, and then you kind of see, oh, like, now it makes sense why I was rejected. Like, I didn't even want that in the first place. So rejection really is just, it's making space for something so much better to come in. It's protection from something that isn't good for you. And we don't know it in the moment, but with the perspective of time, we can then see, okay, there's something better for me that I didn't even know was out there. So I really want us to start letting go of those things that aren't in our control and start believing in what is meant for me will find me. There is just no use in ruminating on things that are outside of our control. So if it's outside of your control, don't let it control you in the moment. Don't let it control your emotions and how much of a good day you could be having right now. And one last thing I wanted to talk about before I get into the practical tools is coming back to your why. Why do you want this in the first place? What's your bigger purpose? Because I can guarantee you right now, you're probably not that bothered whether it's this specific post that just came out or the one that comes out a month later. It doesn't matter that much whether it's this specific job or not. So let's look at why we want this career path in general. What's your bigger purpose? And one that's not tied to one specific outcome or one specific job. It can come in so many different forms. So if I think about it, for me, I wanted so badly to get an assistant psychologist job, and I was just so persistent. And if I just stopped to ask myself, okay, why do I want this so badly? Okay, because they look good on your applications for the clinical psychology doctorate, and I want to become a psychologist. Okay, why do you want to become a psychologist? Okay, well, I want to help people. Okay, why do you want to help people? Well, I'm so passionate about helping people make the most of life, and I get the sense of fulfillment from that. And I also just love learning about psychology. Okay, so we have two things here: wanting to improve people's lives and learning about psychology. Okay, keep asking yourself why. It just gives me this sense of fulfillment, and it excites me. Okay, so now we've gotten to the core, the feelings of why I want to do what I'm doing right now. So we've got a sense of fulfillment and excitement. And is that something that I can only get from this one specific job or this one specific outcome? No, I can get it in so many different forms. If it's about, improving people's lives, I could have any job that makes me money, and then I can volunteer on the side. I can help people at a homeless shelter or at my local charity, or find a different job where I'm improving people's lives. And then, okay, I want to learn more about psychology. I love learning about it, and that excites me. Well, I can learn about psychology anywhere. I can read books. I can listen to podcasts. I can take courses. There's so many different things I can do to achieve the ultimate core goal that I actually want. And if it's this feeling of fulfillment and excitement that I'm chasing, how else can I get these feelings? What else can I do in my life that will bring me these emotions? At the end of the day, the biggest investment that you will ever make is in yourself, your own personal development, whether that is through your dream job or volunteering or taking a course. That will never be time or money wasted, because you're investing in your skills, your knowledge, you're expanding, you're growing, and those are things you can do at any time. So please don't let this feeling of rejection really get to you, because there's so much more that you could be focusing your energy on. So much more. Okay, let's talk about some practical tools that you can use right now to deal with rejection. I have 3 tools that you can use. The first one is the why exercise that I just demonstrated. I want you to do whatever you need to do, whether it's write it down, journal about it, or just sit down with yourself. Do this exercise and keep asking yourself, why? Why am I doing this? What is my bigger purpose? What feeling am I chasing? And I want you to get to the core of your goals, of the feelings that you want. And then think about how you can bring those feelings in through other avenues. And I think that will help to ground you a bit and remind you of the bigger picture. And then the tiny little rejections feel a little bit smaller, because they don't matter as much as it feels like they do in the moment. Okay, so that's the first thing I want you to do, the why exercise. The next thing is a mirror exercise, because especially if you feel like your self-esteem and your self-worth has really taken a hit, it's so important to reconnect with where your self-worth actually lies. And if you're the sort of person that relies on external validation, maybe it's academic validation, or just constantly worrying about what other people think of you, it's so important for you to do this. So what you're going to do every day, in the morning or at night, whenever you want, whenever you look at yourself in the mirror, maybe when you're brushing your teeth, whenever you're brushing your teeth, I want you to look at yourself in the mirror and truly look into your eyes. And even that can feel really uncomfortable for some people. If you feel like you really don't like yourself right now, like you don't feel like you're good enough, even just looking at yourself for 10 seconds, 20 seconds can feel really uncomfortable. And then I want you to tell yourself that you are good enough. Actually, scrap that. Not just good enough. You're brilliant. You are so skilled. You're so compassionate. The fact that you're going down this career path and this is something that you're passionate about is amazing. You want to help people. How compassionate, how kind of you. Like, you're such a good person and you're worthy of so much more in life. You deserve your dream jobs. You deserve to reach your goals. You deserve all the success in the world, and you deserve so much love from yourself. You deserve compassion from yourself. I want you to tell yourself, look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself how much you love yourself. And I know this probably sounds really cringe, and it does. And when you're doing it, you're going to feel so freaking stupid. But the point of it is to help you come back to where your worth truly lies, which is within yourself. And only you can provide yourself that validation. And I don't want you relying on how many rejections you get and for that to reflect how worthy you think you are or how valuable you think you are. I want you to distance who you are from what you do. Because what you do, which right now is maybe applying to all these jobs, and that right now is your job. But your job isn't who you are. It's not your entire self-worth. So if you feel like your self-worth has really taken a hit, just like mine did, then do this mirror exercise. Do it regularly, do it every day, and watch how you think of yourself changes and how your relationship with rejection from others changes. Okay. And the last thing I want to say, it's not another exercise that might make you feel a little bit silly. It's just whenever you do get another rejection, because you will, we all will get rejected at some point in our lives. The next time you get a rejection, and every time you get a rejection from now on, I want you to reframe it to, okay, I'm now one step closer to success. I'm now one step closer to where my life is meant to be headed. And I'm one step closer to a better, stronger, more resilient, confident person than I was before this rejection. And then maybe you can finally get to a place where every rejection, you actually feel grateful for it. You feel like it's directing you, like that is a closed door. I'm glad I can now close that door because that clearly wasn't meant for me. Let me redirect my attention to something else. Okay, so instead of dwelling on the rejection and on everything that you did wrong, we're just going to say, okay, thank you for that. That's a closed door. Let me redirect my attention to something else. Let me redirect my energy to something else. Okay, thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope you found at least one thing helpful, and yeah, let me know if this has helped you in any way, or if you have any other tips for other people. I would love to hear from you. Good luck in whatever you're doing right now, whatever goal you're working towards. I'm sending you so much love and strength, and I know you can do this. Thank you so much for being here. Be kind to yourself, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.